Hello and welcome to Cooker Brazuca's Fast and Loose. I am Nando Cooker. This is a mini bloggy series in which I worry less about photography or cinematography or even sound quality or even the state of my kitchen and more about getting my lunch. First episode will be a recipe from a great new book, The Jeweled Kitchen by Bethany Cady. And Bethany is a great friend of mine and a bunch of other food bloggers and foodies here in the UK and Europe. We're all immensely proud of Bethany's book. She spent a huge amount of time and a lot of work went into making this book, and it's also photographed by another friend of ours, Saka, with beautiful photographs and fantastic Middle Eastern and Lebanese recipes. And I selected a recipe from the book for my lunch, which will be sea bass with spiced caramelized onion rice. It looks very simple. It's just some rice with some fishy on top. I'll have to improvise a little bit because she asks for a whole sea bass on the recipe and I could only find fillets. Plus, this is a recipe for 4 or 6 and I'm eating on my own. And here are apparently all the ingredients that I am going to need. So that's the fish itself, onion, the most important part of this, pine nuts, rice, a lemon for later, and the spices are cinnamon, allspice, cumin, and salt. The first thing I have to do is slice a very big onion into very thin slices. And thankfully I am like a ninja of slicing onions. And now I have to trim these little bits of fishy into little tiny steaks, and I'm going to leave some fish left over for me to put into the rice. Before I go and set my little fishies aside, I'm just going to give them a nice little sprinkling of salt. Next step is to fry around a third of the onions. Pre-fry them and caramelize them, and that's going to go on top like a garnish. So I've got a pan here, I've got some oil, but I'm going to add a few more glugs of oil. I'm going to add in those little bits of fish that I cut off, the offcuts. Now that fish looks nice and golden, so I'm just going to take that off. Place it here on the corner of some paper towels. And now I'm going to come in with some of the onion slices and chuck in there. That's about a third of them. I think that's probably okay now for colour. I'm just going to start pulling them aside here and putting them in this paper towel. Next thing is the rice. I've got a heavy bottom saucepan and it's going on the fire. To that I'm going to add my onions, and on top of the onions I'm going to add the little bits of fishy that I fried earlier. All of those guys are in there. I'm going to chuck some water. And then I'm going to add the cumin, the allspice, the cinnamon, and some salt. Then I'm going to cover it and leave it for a bit to simmer. Okay, this has been simmering for about 2 minutes, and I'm just going to fish out my bits of fried fish before I add the rice. Hello, come here. And now I'm going to chuck in the rice. That's just less than a cup of rice. And spread it around. Cover it. And now cook it for about half an hour or until all the water has been absorbed by the rice. Right, I think my rice is ready. It's nice and soft. By the way, I use brown rice instead of normal rice. I've got my rice all nicely done, so what I gotta do is fry my fishies. Now Bethany does hers in the oven because she's working with a whole sea bass. I've got 2 little fillets, and so I'm going to pan fry them in this here non-stick pan. A couple of tablespoons, just enough to make my fish dance in the pan. Notice I've cut a few little cuts on the skin of the fish, because when I put it down on the pan, skin down, the skin is going to shrink, and I don't want my fish to end up doing whoop. Just chuck them there, away from you. Let's push them down. Keep that skin in contact with the pan. Just fine there. Oh, look at that. Perfect. There's our little fishy. Now all I need to do is fry some pine nuts to go on top of this, and the recipe will be complete. Now I'll give that pan a bit of a wipe. We don't need any oil to fry pine nuts. And in go my little pine nuts. And just keep them swirling around. Now as soon as they start getting these little red cheeks on them, you're nearly ready to get them out. Our pine nuts here to rest. And there you are. It's time to plate up. First, our lovely rice. Some of my little crispy onions here on the side. Some of the pine nuts. My little fishy is going to go right on top of all that. I'm going to make a lovely little pile of caramelized onions and sprinkle a little bit of parsley all over my plate. How gorgeous is that? Now, what goes here, you might be asking, how about some nice seared spears of asparagus? And here's the final result. Ta-da! What do you think, Bethany? Did I do justice to your recipe? I wish you great success with your book, and thank you very much for these delicious recipes. Bye-bye. If you like this video, please click on the little thumbs up button or add it to your favorites. And of course, subscribe to the channel and tell all your friends about it. I do this for you. In fact, you can leave me a comment or a message, and I promise to answer all of them eventually. If you want to see more tips on this recipe or more info on Brazilian food in general, you can go to my website, cucabrazuca.com. But for those of you looking for a more deep and meaningful relationship with me, then you can stalk me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Instagram, or Pinterest.